All right, strap in, everybody. Today we are going deep, deep into StockX.
Deep dive time.
That's right, deep dive time. Into that crazy online marketplace where sneakers are traded like, stocks, like we're on Wall Street. We're going to get into all the things that, most people already know about it, but really, really like understand how to work within the StockX ecosystem.
Yeah.
Whether you're trying to make a quick buck or build a reselling empire.
It's more than just like, buy low and sell high. Like there's a whole art to it. It's like tapping into like the psychology behind the hype. It's understanding
what makes people...
Yeah, like the authentication, like all the nuances and like predicting what's going to be the next hot thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So is it all about sneakers? Or
Yeah.
I've seen streetwear on there. I've seen handbags. I've even seen watches.
Exactly. But the thing is, all the core principles, they all remain the same. It's like, think of it this way. StockX, they basically took like the whole idea of a financial market and they applied it to like these
super hyped, desired,
sought after items,
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
It's all about supply and demand and like...
And the whole psychology of like scarcity.
Okay.
Yeah. So walk me through like this stock market of things. Like, what does that really mean?
Okay, so imagine like, you have your stock exchange floor.
Right.
But instead of having, like Sooks yelling out numbers, you have like all these like...
Hype beasts.
Yeah, hype beasts, limited edition sneakers, coveted collectibles.
Yeah.
So basically... sellers, right? They set their asking price. Then you have buyers, and they place bids. And when those two, when they meet in the middle, boom, sale happens automatically.
Right.
No haggling.
So it's like a giant matchmaking system, but for...
And for hypebeasts.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of, hopeless romantics.
I love it. But what I've always found fascinating is the authentication process.
Yeah.
Because with so much money flying around...
Well, tons of money.
How do they guarantee that people aren't getting ripped off? How do they guarantee that people aren't selling fakes?
That's really like the core.
Yeah.
That's like the secret sauce that makes StockX.
Right.
StockX.
Right.
That's the commitment to getting rid of all the counterfeits. So they have these like authentication centers around the world.
Gotcha.
And it's staffed with, expert authenticators. Like these people, they're trained to spot even the tiniest flaws. They'll examine everything.
Spot a fake from a mile away.
Again, from the stitching, the materials, the packaging, everything.
So it's like having a team of sneaker detectives basically on the case, making sure.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So
it's like CSI for sneakers.
It's like sneaker CSI, exactly.
And then once it passes that rigorous inspection, that's when it gets that verified authentic tag.
Exactly.
And I think that gives buyers a lot more confidence.
Oh, yeah. Like that verified authentic tag, that's like the gold seal of approval.
Yeah.
It's basically saying you are getting the real deal.
It's peace of mind.
Exactly.
Knowing that you're not getting...
And it protects the sellers too,
Oh, yeah.
Do you imagine like the hassle you'd have to go through if you had to authenticate everything yourself?
Oh, no thank you. Yeah. So StockX takes care of all that.
They handle it all.
That's awesome. That's a really smart system.
Right.
But let's get to like, I think the heart of it all is the hype.
Yeah.
How does hype really drive prices on StockX? Because we're not talking about, vintage,
no,
like finds, right? We're talking about brand new releases.
Yeah.
They sell out in an instant, and then they're on StockX for...
triple the price.
Like triple, quadruple the price.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Okay, so that's where like the whole psychology of scarcity comes into play, right?
Yeah.
So when something's hard to get, like our desire for it,
Moves way up.
It intensifies.
Yeah.
So you have these limited edition releases, you have collaborations with, celebrities, influencers, and even just like the rumors and the leaks. That can fuel this whole frenzy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The more people talk about something,
yeah, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
the more they want it.
Exactly.
Even if it's just, like a regular pair of shoes that they've just slapped a different...
Like a special colorway on it?
Yeah, like a special thing.
Exactly. But then that also means
It's crazy.
there's opportunity.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can understand what's hyping people up,
Yes.
you can get ahead of it.
You can predict what's going to be hot.
That's right. Before it drops even.
Before it even drops.
Yeah.
And that's where the real money is made.
That's where the money is, yeah.
But it's not just about, spotting the next big thing. It's about understanding
Like the why.
the why, the underlying, forces that are driving those trends.
Right.
Like what are the cultural narratives? What are the things that are resonating with people? What are the influencers pushing?
Yeah.
What are the historical references behind a particular design?
You're like a cultural anthropologist, but for sneakers.
Yeah, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Because it's true. Because at the end of the day, StockX is it's a reflection of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's our cultural obsessions, our desires, our sense of, identity.
Right.
It's all wrapped up in there.
It's fascinating. So, okay, for somebody who wants to jump in, how do they actually get started selling on StockX?
All right, well, first you got to set up an account.
Right.
Easy peasy.
Right.
You're going to need your contact info, like your name, email, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Going to need your payment details so you can actually get paid, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Shipping address so they know where to send stuff.
Right.
They might ask for tax information.
Yeah.
Just depending, where you are, how much you're selling. Don't let that part scare you off.
Right.
It's really about
You're just being prepared.
Yeah, being prepared and, understanding what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah, don't want to run into any surprises.
Yeah, come tax season.
Exactly, yeah.
You'll thank yourself later.
But what about actually listing an item? I know StockX has this giant
database.
Right, yeah.
So do you just go in there and it's all there for you?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Think of it as like a pre-populated library.
Oh, okay.
Of all things hype.
Okay.
You find your item, you search for it by SoHue or name.
Right.
And most of the details
are already
there. No need to write these big long descriptions or take a million photos or anything like that.
I see.
StockX keeps it nice and clean.
Okay, that's a relief.
Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got your account set up, you found your item in the database. Now comes the main part.
Yeah.
How do you actually price it?
Oh, the big question.
To make the most money.
So this is where, the art of StockX reselling really comes in.
Okay.
You got to become like a master of market analysis. You got to check prices on StockX, their competitors like GOT.
Gotcha.
Don't forget to look at, like eBay's sold listings.
Okay.
To really get a sense of what people are paying out there in the real world.
In the real world.
Yeah.
You're like a sneaker stockbroker.
You are.
Constantly monitoring the market, looking to
buy low.
High low.
And sell high.
Yeah. I'm starting to get why they call it
It really is.
the stock market of things.
It's a stock market for sneakers and streetwear.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then are there different so you're playing that game of supply and demand.
You are.
But instead of it being stocks and bonds, it's
sneakers and streetwear.
Yeah. Are there different strategies?
You could absolutely.
Like, do you just always undercut? Or do you sometimes wait?
Well, like in the stock market, there's a bunch of different strategies you can use.
Okay.
Right? So you've got do you undercut the competition and make a quick sale?
Okay.
Or do you hold out for a higher price?
Right.
If you have something that's really, rare.
Yeah.
Or in pristine condition.
Right. So you might hold out.
It's all about understanding the market and making these calculated decisions.
Mm-hmm. So when would you undercut? When would you say all right, I just want to get this out the door?
Well, I mean, that's a really common strategy.
Yeah.
For making a quick sale.
Right.
Right. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Move on to the next thing. But it's not always the most profitable.
Gotcha. Right there.
Sometimes it makes more sense to hold out.
Yeah.
And wait for a higher price.
Oh, gotcha.
Especially if you've got something that's, like I said, rare or highly sought after.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha.
So you're always playing that game.
It's a game.
It is. It's a game of strategy.
Yeah, you got to be smart about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, there's...
It's like chess, but with sneakers.
There you go.
Right. You got to think a few steps ahead.
Totally.
Anticipate your opponent's moves and know when to strike.
Exactly. But
there's one key element we haven't even talked about yet. Those pesky seller fees.
The fees, yes.
I imagine.
Those can really cut into your profit.
They can eat into your profits if you're not careful.
Big time, right.
Oh, yeah, big time. StockX's fees, they vary, depending on your seller level.
Okay.
And a few other factors. So it's really important to factor those into your
pricing strategy?
Right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might think you're making a a killing on a sale,
Uh-huh.
only to realize that,
Most of it went back to StockX.
most of it went back to StockX.
Yeah.
So it's really about.
So you're telling me I need to be like
Well, yeah.
a master of market trends.
You gotta be.
I got to be a pricing strategist
You gotta have multiple hats.
and a math whiz all at the same time.
You do. It's a multifaceted skill set for sure.
This is a full-time job.
It can be. It definitely can be,
And if
especially
you're trying to if you're serious about
scale it up.
scaling, building a business out of it,
Yeah.
it can be.
So let's say you've locked in a buyer.
Right.
You've got a price you're happy with.
They're happy with it.
You got to ship that precious cargo off to StockX.
Got to get it authenticated.
Yeah. Authentication. So what's that like on the seller side of things?
Yeah, good question.
Because we talked about the authentication from the buyer's perspective.
Right.
But what about the seller?
So, all right, once that sale goes through, StockX, they're gonna send you a prepaid shipping label,
Okay.
which is super convenient.
Right.
But here's the catch.
Okay.
You're on a deadline.
Okay.
You have 2 business days
Okay.
to ship that item out,
Gotcha.
or they might cancel the order.
Oh, wow.
You know,
So no procrastinating allowed.
no procrastinating.
Yeah.
They're strict about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Packaging is going to be on point too, right?
Oh yeah. Especially for sneakers.
Especially for sneakers.
Because if the box gets
The box is everything.
the box is everything.
It can really hurt the value.
Yeah.
Yeah. So especially for sneakers, like double boxing is key.
Right.
You want to protect that shoe box.
Yeah.
Like it's a priceless artifact.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Use plenty of
Packing peanuts.
packing materials,
Yeah.
bubble wrap, whatever you got to do
You gotta,
to make sure those shoes don't get, banged up in transit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
you want them to feel like they're getting
Yeah, like they're unboxing a treasure.
not something from a clearance sale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
It's all about the
Yeah.
presentation.
yeah, the presentation.
It really is.
So once you've shipped it,
Mm-hmm.
is your job done?
Well, not quite. Remember, your journey as a StockX seller, it doesn't end when the package leaves your hands.
Right.
You got to be, proactive about building a stellar
Okay.
seller reputation.
So it's not just about making the quick buck.
Okay.
It's about establishing yourself.
Yeah, like your brand.
Busy.
Your brand within the StockX ecosystem.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Think of your seller rating as like your online reputation.
gotcha.
It influences everything from,
Yeah.
your visibility in the search results
Mm-hmm.
to the fees that you pay.
Wow. Okay.
A good rating, it tells buyers,
You're legit.
this person's reliable, they're trustworthy.
Yeah.
I can confidently purchase from the seller.
Yeah.
That
That makes sense. Okay, so how do you do that? How do you build that stellar reputation?
All right. Well, it all comes down to
Lay it on me.
four core principles.
Okay. Yeah.
Authenticity,
Okay.
accurate descriptions,
Hmm.
fast shipping,
Yeah.
and professional communication.
Okay.
So let's break those down.
Okay, let's break them down. I'm all ears.
All right. So first up, authenticity,
Yeah.
non-negotiable.
Right.
Like StockX has zero tolerance for fakes,
Yeah.
and even attempting to sell counterfeit items
Right.
can get you permanently banned from the platform.
Right. That's not worth it.
Not worth it.
No, not worth it.
Right.
It's not worth risking your whole
hustle
Yeah.
for a quick buck.
Yeah. For sure.
Especially when there's so much potential
To do it legitimately.
to do it the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not just about intentionally selling fakes.
Right.
You need to know what you're selling.
Yeah.
You got to be knowledgeable
Yeah.
about the products.
Yeah.
Be able to spot any potential red flags.
Okay.
And if you're ever unsure
Yeah.
about the authenticity of something,
Yeah.
it's better to
Err on the side of caution.
err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
And not list it.
Right. Right. So do your research.
Do your research.
Know what you're selling.
Know your sneakers.
Yeah.
Know your streetwear.
Know your Yeezys from your
Yeah, you got to be able to tell
fakes.
a real Yeezy from a fake one.
Yeah.
It's-
What about condition descriptions?
Okay, so condition descriptions.
How detailed do you have to get?
Well, honesty is always the best policy here.
Right.
Be upfront about any flaws, no matter how small.
Right.
Because remember, like, a tiny little scuff on a box can be like a total deal breaker for some collectors.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And when it comes to used items, clear and detailed photos are a must.
Yeah.
Like buyers, they want to see exactly what they're getting.
Yeah. For sure.
It's all about
transparency.
Yeah, transparency, setting clear expectations and building trust. The more transparent you are as a seller, the better.
Right. Okay, that makes total sense. And we talked about fast shipping.
Yeah, got to be quick.
Which is obviously a huge one.
Huge.
But what about communication? Like, how important is that when so much of it is already handled through the platform itself?
That's a good point. Even though, StockX handles like the majority of the buyer-seller interaction.
Right.
There might be times when you need to, communicate directly with a buyer or with StockX.
Yeah.
Maybe a buyer has, a question about sizing.
Okay.
Or there's like a delay with shipping. Whatever the reason. Always respond promptly and professionally. Every interaction, it contributes to your overall reputation.
So it's like running a virtual storefront. You might not have like the physical store,
but you still provide that
excellent customer service.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Makes sense.
So we've got the basics down of selling on StockX and how to build your
reputation
on the platform.
Yeah.
But for those who are like ready to take their hustle to the next level.
Okay.
What are some more advanced strategies for scaling a reselling business?
Okay.
What's beyond just
so
listing individual items?
One option is bulk selling. If you've got, a large quantity of a particular item, you can reach out to StockX about, special bulk selling arrangements.
Okay.
And so instead of, listing each item individually, you're essentially selling wholesale.
Okay.
Which can be a great way to
streamline
the process.
Yeah, the process. And potentially even negotiate
lower fees.
Yeah.
I see.
So you're kind of cutting out the middleman.
Yeah.
In a sense,
But I'm imagining that's not something you can just like do on a whim.
No. Usually it's reserved for, like more established businesses.
Okay. Gotcha.
With a proven track record. It requires.
That's a whole nother ball game. It's a different level of inventory management, logistical capabilities.
Yeah, for sure. But it could be a game changer.
Oh, it can be.
If you're set up to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so for the individual seller who's maybe looking to grow but not quite ready for bulk.
Not there yet.
What can they do to level up? Well, building relationships with suppliers is a big one.
Okay.
This could be, retail stores, distributors, or even other resellers.
Right. Yeah.
Who have access to inventory that maybe you don't.
Yeah.
The goal is to secure, a consistent source of in-demand items.
Yeah, for sure.
Ideally at a price that, allows you to make a decent
profit.
Yeah, profit margin.
Yeah. That sounds like a smart strategy, but I imagine it's probably easier said than done.
It takes work. It takes work.
Yeah.
You got to network, you got to attend industry events.
Okay.
You got to build trust and prove that you're like a reliable business partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it's about really like proving your worth.
Yeah, it's about showing those suppliers
that
you're serious about this. You've got a plan.
Mm-hmm.
You're in it.
Yeah.
For the long haul.
Right.
It's not just some fly by night.
Right. You're not just looking to
fly by night reseller looking for a quick buck.
Make a quick buck and run.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about
building those relationships.
And demonstrating
that you're in it to win it.
Yeah, that you're here to stay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've got your supply chain, figured out. You're listing things strategically.
Yeah.
You're building that solid rep. What else can you do to really stay ahead of the curve?
Okay.
Like how do you predict what's going to be
What's going to be hot? Well, you got to stay informed
okay
about upcoming releases, collaborations, trends.
Okay, so what's coming out?
You got to know what's on the horizon.
Gotcha.
Follow sneaker news accounts, influencers, brands.
Okay.
Immerse yourself in the online communities.
So I got to be on like Reddit and be Discord and all these things.
I got to be in those spaces.
Yeah.
Where people are talking about,
okay,
the latest and greatest. Bleeding edge. Yeah. You got to become like a student of the culture,
So you're saying I need to become like a hype beast anthropologist.
Basically, yeah. Spend your days scrolling through Instagram, lurking on Reddit, deciphering the cryptic tweets of sneaker influencers.
Okay.
Think of it as market research.
Okay.
But for the coolest stuff on the planet.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the more you immerse yourself in that culture, the better you get at predicting.
The better you'll get at predicting those trends before they even hit the mainstream.
So it's not just about knowing what's hot now.
Right.
It's about understanding why it's hot.
Why that's coming next.
Exactly. You got to anticipate those shifts in taste.
Okay.
And be ready to capitalize.
I gotcha.
Right?
But StockX is known for sneakers, but they sell other stuff.
Oh, yeah. They've branched out.
Should a seller
Diversification. Yeah.
Focus on one thing, or should they diversify?
That's a great question. Diversification can be a really smart move.
Okay.
Especially if you have, expertise in other areas.
Okay.
StockX has expanded into streetwear, collectibles, handbags, watches.
Okay.
Even, electronics.
So don't put all your sneakers in one basket.
Exactly.
Okay.
Spread your bets, explore different markets.
Right.
See what resonates with you.
Okay. I like that.
You might discover like a hidden passion.
Yeah. For vintage watches or, limited edition art toys that you never knew you had.
There you go. Speaking of exciting, I've heard whispers of automation tools.
Oh yeah.
That can help you with this whole
automation's a big thing.
StockX hustle.
It is, yeah.
Can you tell me more about those?
Yeah, so there are definitely some powerful tools out there.
Okay.
That can help you automate, tasks like pricing and inventory management. Some of them can even analyze market data.
Oh wow.
And automatically adjust your prices to stay competitive.
Wow.
And this can be a huge time saver.
Right.
Especially if you're managing a large inventory.
Yeah.
Across multiple
platforms. Yeah.
So
these things are like legit.
They're legit, but you gotta use them wisely.
I'm a little hesitant to let a robot control my pricing.
Right.
What if it screws up?
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Automation.
Yeah.
It can be a powerful tool.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's not a magic bullet.
It's not magic.
Right.
You still gotta understand how these tools work.
Yeah. Right.
Set appropriate parameters.
Yeah.
And always double check those prices.
Right.
Before you hit that list button.
Yeah. Don't just blindly trust.
Don't blindly trust the algorithm.
Right. It's like having a really smart assistant.
Exactly.
But you still gotta.
But you gotta give it clear instructions.
Okay.
And supervise
it. Okay. Okay, but StockX isn't the only game in town, right?
Well, no.
There's other places to resell things.
There are other platforms out there?
Should sellers be looking at those as well?
Yeah.
Or is StockX kind of like the...
StockX is...
the big dog.
The big dog.
The 800-pound gorilla.
It is. But
so it's like diversifying your portfolio.
Exactly.
But instead of stocks and bonds, it's sneakers and
streetwear.
So you're saying don't put all your eggs.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Even if that basket.
Even if it is StockX.
StockX.
Yeah.
It's good to
spread it around.
Explore those options.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spread the risk a little bit.
Okay. What are some of the other platforms out there?
Okay.
That are worth looking into?
All right. So you've got Joe.
Okay.
That's the biggest,
right.
contender. And for good reason.
Okay.
Their authentication process is just as rigorous as StockX's,
Right.
They offer, a similar range of products.
Okay.
They even have like a feature where you can ship your items to their warehouse for like faster processing and delivery.
So it's like choosing between two high-end sneaker boutiques.
Yeah, kind of.
Each one has its own like vibe and clientele.
Each one has its own little niche,
Are there places that are more for niche markets? Like what if you're not selling like the
latest Yeezys or Off-White collaborations?
What if you're selling like, I don't know.
Yeah, if you're into
the vintage.
Yeah.
Like starter jacket or something.
If you're into vintage or more, specialized items, platforms like eBay and Grailed might be a better fit.
Yeah.
eBay's like the OG online marketplace.
Right.
It still has a massive user base for all sorts of goods,
So it's about finding the platform.
It is.
That's right for you.
Yeah, you wouldn't try to sell a, vintage Rolex.
Right.
On a platform that's primarily known for streetwear.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about understanding, your target market.
Right.
And where they're hanging out online.
Okay.
Do your research.
Makes sense.
Experiment with different platforms and see what works best.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have
from setting up an account to scaling up and even going to different places.
Absolutely.
To sell your stuff.
Yeah.
But before we wrap things up,
sure,
are there any common like pitfalls or traps?
Oh yeah. There's definitely some mistakes
that new sellers.
Yeah, there are some common mistakes that people make.
What are some of the big ones that you've seen?
One of the biggest ones is underestimating the fees.
Oh, okay.
Involved.
Yeah, right.
It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a sale and forget to factor in those transaction fees.
Yeah.
Payment processing costs.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and you might think you're making a killing
on a sale.
But
and then StockX takes.
But once you deduct those fees,
right?
Your profit margin.
Yeah.
Can shrink significantly.
It's like forgetting about taxes.
It is.
Can you get a raise?
It's like, I got this big raise.
And then you're like, wait a minute, where did all my money go?
Where did it all go?
Yeah. So do the math. Understand the fees.
Understand those fees.
And then price it.
And price accordingly.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't let those fees sneak up on you.
Okay. What's another one?
Another common mistake is neglecting customer service.
Okay.
Right. Even though StockX handles most of the communication. There might be times when a buyer reaches out directly.
Yeah. With a question or a concern.
With a question.
Right.
Or a concern.
Yeah. Maybe they need help with, sizing.
Right.
Or they're wondering,
when their order's going to ship.
Whatever the reason, It's crucial to be responsive and professional.
Yeah.
Remember, you're representing your brand.
Even if it's just you.
Operating out of your, spare bedroom.
Right.
Every interaction contributes to your overall reputation.
Okay, so even though you don't have a brick and mortar, you still got to treat them like.
You still got to treat those
valued customers.
Buyers.
Yeah.
Like valued customers.
I got you. It's all about, building that positive reputation.
I got you.
It takes time and effort, but it's an investment that will pay off.
Okay. And finally, I got to ask about this because I've heard stories about people trying to game the system, trying to manipulate things.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
My advice
is impossible.
Is don't even try it.
Okay.
StockX has these sophisticated algorithms and a dedicated team.
Okay.
That's monitoring for any suspicious activity.
Yeah.
Right. They're constantly cracking down on price manipulation, shill bidding.
Okay. Any of that shady stuff.
Any sort of unethical practices.
So it's like trying to outsmart the casino.
Exactly.
You might get away with it for a little while.
You might win a few hands,
but eventually
the house always wins.
The house wins. Okay. So focus on building a legit business.
Yeah. Play by the rules.
Play by the rules.
You'll be much better off.
Okay. Solid advice.
Yeah.
Solid advice. So to recap, for our listeners who are ready to jump in
head first into StockX marketplace.
Marketplace.
What are the big things they should keep in mind?
Okay, so
what are the key takeaways?
Understand the platform.
Okay.
Master the art.
Okay.
Of market analysis.
Okay.
Build that stellar reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And play the long game.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't get caught up in the hype.
Right.
But learn to ride the waves.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's about being a savvy entrepreneur.
You gotta be
like part cultural anthropologist.
Yeah. A little bit of a
sneakerhead.
Yeah, sneakerhead psychologist, all rolled into one.
Yeah, for sure. And most importantly, have fun with it.
Oh yeah.
This is a unique
space.
and exciting space to be in.
Yeah.
And the possibilities are kind of endless.
Right.
Yeah.
What final piece of advice would you give?
Okay.
What's the one thing?
If I had to give one piece of advice,
yeah,
it would be don't be afraid.
Okay.
To experiment, to try new things.
Okay.
And to find your own niche within this ever evolving market. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like what are you passionate about?
Yeah. What do you know?
What do you know better than anyone else?
What do you know?
What do you know?
Yeah. That's a good question.
That's the question.
Ponder, yeah. Yeah. Go out there and explore.
Experiment, and maybe you'll
find your
own path to StockX.
StockX domination.
Domination. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Until next time. Happy hustling. Happy hustling.
It's like, you're diversifying your investments.
Exactly.
But instead of, stocks and bonds.
It's sneakers.
It's hype.
Streetwear.
Yeah. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Even
if it's a really cool basket like StockX.
Right. Even if it's StockX. Exactly.
Yeah. Spread it around a little bit.
Yeah. Explore.
What are some of the other platforms that are worth checking out?
Okay. So, Jote. That's probably the biggest, contender to StockX.
Yeah.
And for good reason.
Okay.
Their authentication process is just as rigorous as StockX.
Gotcha. Okay.
They offer, a similar range of products.
Right.
And they even have this cool feature where you can ship your items to their warehouse. Oh, interesting.
For faster processing and delivery.
So it's like choosing between two, high-end sneaker boutiques.
Yeah.
Each one has its own little...
Right, exactly. Each one has its own little, vibe and its own clientele.
Okay, so what about for, niche markets?
Oh, yeah. There's platforms for that, too.
What if you're not selling the latest Yeezys and...
If you're not, selling the hype stuff.
Yeah.
If you're into vintage or more, specialized items.
Right.
Platforms like eBay and Grailed.
Oh, okay.
Might be a better fit.
Yeah, I've heard of Grailed.
Right. eBay is like
the
OG online marketplace,
Yeah.
It still has a massive user base.
A lot of people are still on there.
Mm-hmm. And Grailed is more focused on men's clothing and accessories,
Okay.
And it's known for its kind of curated selection.
Oh, okay.
Of
so it's a little more
high quality.
High end.
Yeah, high quality. More curated.
So it's about finding the right platform.
Exactly.
For you.
Yeah.
Right. You wouldn't try to sell a Rolex on a platform that's mostly streetwear.
No, you got to know your audience.
Know your audience.
Yeah. Okay. We've covered a lot of ground here.
Over that information.
From setting up an account to scaling it up to finding the right platforms
to diversifying,
any final pitfalls or traps that we should be aware of?
Oh yeah.
What are the big mistakes that you see people making?
Common mistake
can really mess up their StockX hustle.
Okay, so one of the biggest ones is underestimating the fees involved.
Yeah. It's really easy to get caught up in the excitement of a sale.
You see the big number and you're like
you see that number and you're like, cha-ching.
I'm rich.
But then you forget about
the
fees.
Yeah.
Those transaction fees, payment processing costs, all that stuff.
So it's like forgetting about taxes when you get a raise.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh, I got this big raise.
I got all this extra money.
I'm going to be rich.
And then you're like, wait a minute.
Where? Where did it all go?
Yeah. Do the math.
Do the math.
Understand as fees.
The fees.
Yeah.
Okay. What's another one?
Another common one is neglecting customer service.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Even though, StockX handles most of the communication.
Yeah.
There might be times
right.
when a buyer reaches out
right.
directly, you know?
Yeah, they've got a question about sizing. They're wondering when their order's going to ship.
Okay.
You know, whatever the reason.
Right.
It's crucial to be responsive and professional.
Okay. So even though
you're not running like a
brick and mortar.
Yeah, a traditional store.
You still got to
treat those buyers like valued customers.
Like they're walking into your store.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about building that positive reputation.
Okay.
It takes time and effort, but it's an investment that'll pay off.
Okay. And finally, I got to ask about this because I've heard some stories, people trying to game the system.
People try to game the system,
trying to manipulate prices or
they try.
What's your take on that?
My advice is don't even try it.
Okay.
StockX has sophisticated algorithms and a dedicated team.
Okay.
That's monitoring for any suspicious activity.
Right. Yeah.
They're constantly cracking down on price manipulation.
Oh yeah.
Shill bidding.
Right.
Any sort of
any of that shady stuff.
Shady, unethical practices.
Don't do it.
No. Just
it's like trying to outsmart the casino. You might win a few hands here and there.
Win a few hands, but the house always wins.
The house always wins. Okay.
So focus on building a legit
business. Play by the rules.
Play by the rules.
You'll be much better off.
Okay. Solid advice.
Yeah.
All right. So
it's big picture.
Big picture. Key takeaways.
For our listeners who are ready to dive in head first.
Okay, ready to dive
into this
StockX game.
What are the big things to keep in mind?
Okay, so understand the platform.
Okay.
Master the art of market analysis.
Okay.
Build that stellar reputation and play the long game.
Okay.
Don't get caught up in the hype.
Right.
But learn to ride the waves.
Ride the waves, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to be like a savvy entrepreneur.
You got to be
a little bit of a cultural anthropologist.
And a little bit of a
sneakerhead.
Yeah, sneakerhead psychologist.
Yeah.
All rolled into one.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. And above all, have fun with it.
Yeah, have fun. This is
it's a
unique and exciting space to be in.
And the possibilities
are
pretty much endless.
If
you know what you're doing.
If you know what you're doing.
Right. What final piece of advice would you give? Okay, final piece of advice.
What's like the golden nugget of wisdom?
The golden nugget.
That you would leave our listeners with?
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
To try new things.
Right.
And to find your own, niche within this ever-evolving market.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What are you passionate about?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What do you
know better than anybody else?
What do you know better than anyone else?
Yeah.
That's the question.
What's your superpower?
That's the question you got to ask yourself.
That's right. So
go out there, explore, experiment.
Go out there, explore, experiment, find your niche.
And maybe you'll find your path.
Yeah, you'll find your own path.
To StockX domination. Until next time.
Happy hustling.
Happy hustling.